All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Dwayne Primo, and I'm the president at Northern Business Intelligence. I want to thank you all very much for joining us today and choosing to spend up to the hour with us. I'm really excited to spend the time with you and to speak with you a little bit about the cool technology and the cool applications of the technology we get to help our clients with every day, and we consider ourselves very fortunate to do so. So without further ado, we're going to jump in, and just a few housekeeping items before we get started. This session will be recorded. We'll share it if you have any colleagues or friends who may have missed out in joining today. We ask that you please mute and disable your video. That may be done by default across the board. And we do encourage you to ask any questions that you may have. Please post them through the chat feature in Zoom, and one of my colleagues is going to moderate those questions and pose them towards the end of the session. We'll allow enough time to address your questions. The draw for the Yeti tumblers will take place offline following the webinar, and the winners will be contacted directly. So good luck in the draw. They're pretty cool tumblers. So hopefully the 10 winners enjoy them. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I want to share is a little bit about us. So at Northern Business Intelligence, we've been operating out of Atlantic Canada since about the mid-2000s. And we actually started out as a business unit to address the needs of one of our sister companies, Frontier Technologies and Cabling Contractor. We deployed at the time Geotab, our technology partner, and really in that search to meet a business need, found not only a fantastic business partner, but an untapped need in the market. Since then, we've grown to become one of Geotab's top global partners, and we're very excited to focus on helping our clients get the most value out of what is a very, very capable enterprise-grade piece of software. We're most proud of our retention rate with our clients. We boast a greater than 98% retention rate year over year, and we attribute that to the strength of the technology, but also to the fact that we really invest in helping our clients leverage that technology through our customer support team, our order management team, and our customer success managers, who really help close that gap between the needs in your business and the capabilities and features that the technology can provide you to address those needs. We're really pleased to provide these services in both official languages in Canada, and to bring a range of solutions complementary to Geotab to you and your business to help address even broader problems. And we'll speak to some of those today. So that's a bit about us. And we, as I mentioned, we consider ourselves very, very fortunate to be working with a number of clients, such as the ones you see on the screen. Government has been a really strong sector in that there's so much opportunity to leverage this technology to gain value. And that's what we're going to focus our time on today. So winter fleet operations, waste collection fleets, police, fire, school and city fleets, the application, even ferries, the application of this technology is very broad. And we work with clients that have anything from a few vehicles to a few thousand vehicles. And across the board, they're able to really apply it to get value for their operations, for their teams, and for the citizens of the communities that they're helping support. So the format for today is going to be the day in the life of a fleet manager. And our hypothetical fleet manager here is Fred. We've used a little bit of creative license in that certainly if you're coming to us today from a smaller organization, Fred may address all the problems that we talk about today or the challenges. But chances are, if you're coming from a larger organization, Fred is going to sort of embody the person who may be addressing all the challenges and requirements, from an operations team to a fleet manager to a supervisor and everything in between. So we're going to today talk about some of the real challenges and areas that we've seen our clients apply the technology to get value. We'll first talk a little bit about what the challenge or the opportunity is, and then how we could help you use the technology, or how we've helped clients use this technology to get value. So jumping in, the very first part of Fred's day will be providing his operations team with the tools to plan the work. So what we find working with our municipal clients is really the services that are provided from a municipality or a city, a provincial entity otherwise, to their citizens are quite broad. There's quite a lot of routed work, things like street sweeping, snow plowing, garbage routes, sanitation routes. And then there's point dispatched work that may be missed pickups, that may be by law enforcement instances and otherwise. And if we think about the routed work, there's quite a few dispatching pieces of software out there to deal with the latter that I described, the getting out to a specific address or otherwise. There's tools right inside Geotab to dispatch and interface with your driver to a specific address. But routing and optimizing routes for routed work is quite complex. And what we find is many of our municipal and government clients, for that routed work, they really they do it the way they do it because they've always done it that way. It's similar to the story you hear of the person who's asks their mother why or is asked by their child, why do you cut the pot roast in half? And it turns out that person's mother, the pot was too small. So the pot roast had to be cut in half. These routes tend to be written on a board, drawn out on a map, and just always done the way they've been done. So what we have helped a number of our municipal clients with is taking a mathematical and GIS-based approach to assessing the efficiency of the routes. When you consider the amount of dollar potential that can come from finding efficiencies in reducing deadhead miles traveled, or reducing the overall kilometers traveled, or even reducing the number of vehicles required to complete routed work, the savings can be significant. These budgets are typically multi-million dollars, depending on the size of the organization, to deal with fuel, labor, vehicle costs, and so on. And working with our partner Quetica with this math and GIS-based approach to optimizing the routes and the division of how the work is completed, we've been able to help clients save considerable amounts of kilometers ultimately traveled and optimize the work through this math-based approach. Quetica, one of the first municipal clients they worked with was the city of Philadelphia, where they saved over $1 million in the first year in reducing that kilometer traveled and deadhead kilometers traveled. So when it comes to planning the work, being able to optimize using this math-based approach is the first thing that we've helped Fred with, so that he knows he has the optimal number of vehicles headed out to do the work in the optimal order and path to get the work done most efficiently for the citizens and most cost effectively as well. Next thing we want to do is Fred has these vehicles out, and let's say, which is quite common in our climate, it's wintertime, and a big portion of the budget used in these in winter operations, snow fight, would be material. Salt and sand are very, very expensive. So being able to have the tools to really measure the use of the materials, measure the rate of applications, the location of applications of this material is really, really important for municipal clients. And Fred is armed with these solutions through the tools we can provide. The interesting thing with this is there's quite a range of material spreaders out in the market. Everything from ground speed controllers that are very, very sophisticated in the data they can provide, right to a very simple spreader that can be put in the back of a pickup truck. And we have the tools to be able to help Fred get data from that full range of vehicles. This is one of the areas that the Geotab product really shines. Geotab acquired BSM Technologies in May 2019. And since we've been at the leading edge with Geotab of helping deploy the combined integrated Geotab BSM solution. And what BSM really brought to the table to help here, a lot of know-how and a lot of IP in terms of the interpretation of those spreader, the support and interpretation and normalization of the spreader data from greater than 25 different spreaders. So that gives Fred a lot of flexibility for the spreaders and the equipment that he can support his team with, and provides the data not only on the map and graphically to show him and arm his team with the data on where the material is spread, but also the data by trip, by day, to share how much material was spread. We have deployed this with a number of our large municipal and provincial clients, and they found the data accuracy to be within 3% of their other record keeping of materials spread. So we're really confident that Fred is going to please his operations team with this data around the material use, from anything from a combo unit to a sidewalk plow and everything in between. So Fred's got the work planned. Fred's helping measure and manage the material that's being used to support keeping the road safe. And the next thing he's asked by the operation team is just, how are we doing this to make sure that our employees and our staff are safe and operating the vehicles safely? This is another area that the Geotab product shines in its capabilities. And working with our customer success team, we've been able to help Fred set up a safety scorecard that is tailored to the vehicle use policies, and also based on best practices of how we've seen other clients leverage this flexible tool as well. Inside the Geotab application, you can use the rules engine that sets different parameters for your definition of speeding or harsh events, harsh braking, harsh cornering, even seatbelt use, and then set up a scorecard that normalizes the data relative to the kilometers traveled. And this is really important so that you're scoring your drivers fairly, in that you may have 10 speeding infractions and you've only driven 10 kilometers versus 10 speeding infractions and you drove 1,000 kilometers. It is quite amazing to see just how effective setting a policy and then presenting regularly the data to support the policy and hold drivers accountable to the measures can be at reducing the risk in a fleet. We have some unnamed clients whom, prior to deploying this technology, they actually installed but did not have any communication or any policy changes, and immediately you see a bit of dip because people know there's something in the vehicle. Then it normalizes, or this was within 3 months. And they had, during this normalization data collection period, they had about a fleet of, well, I won't say how many vehicles, but 250 speeding events per week. And once they deployed a scorecard like the one you see on the screen, and were regularly sharing this with supervisors and drivers, those speeding events dropped to 2 a week. And they've maintained that consistent performance in reducing the overall risk to the fleet, to the drivers, and to the citizens. So Fred's a pretty happy guy to see that they've got the data. There's a little work to be done by this scorecard, but armed with the data to know where to go and who to speak with relative to these driving scores. The next area we're going to help Fred is Fred has gotten a call, and it's the call that no one wants to get, either directly or through a 311 agent, that A citizen has claimed that a snowplow has damaged their car. This is, without the data to support it, this could be a very challenging position to be. And this is what we hear from our municipal clients. This is actually one of the areas that municipal clients have told us they have paid for their investment in telematics time and time again by having data to avoid a he said, she said, to save costs and settlements, to defend employees. And I'm going to show you how we have helped Fred with that in this case and could help you. So the first thing that we would want to do, and the first tool Fred's going to use here to address this challenge, is doing a bit of an incident investigation using something called area search. Now, it's great when you have GPS tracking on vehicles, you can log in, see them all on the map. You can look at trips history of where the vehicles have been. But what area search lets you do is hone in on a specific area and a date and time, just as you see on the screen here. The system then filters all of the trips during that time period that's selected and brings those trips to the forefront for Fred to review and be able to see were any of the vehicles in the area, and if so, where. So Fred, through this assessment, is able to see there was one snowplow in the area at the time. Now, further, Fred could look at further data in Geotab to assess, but there's another tool that Fred can use that we've armed him with, which is cameras, cloud-connected cameras through our partner Roscoe. We've been working with Roscoe for going on 5 years now. They're out of New York State, and they really produce an enterprise and commercial grade camera solution, cloud connected and deeply integrated with Geotab. So what Fred is able to do now is to, right inside the Geotab interface, click in the vehicle that he identified through the trip's history, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. You're able to see on the left the front view from the Roscoe camera to see exactly what the driver is seeing. And one of the nice things about the Roscoe solution is it's quite flexible. You can have up to 10 camera feeds off a vehicle. And there's numerous configurations and types of cameras. And one of them being a side view camera, which we see here on the right. And we can see the full path and speed of the vehicle as it's transiting its trip. So with that, I'm just going to skip ahead slightly. Fred is able to look and see the area where the incident was alleged to occur and assess if the vehicle was hit. And we see a vehicle coming up here on the right, and the loader is approaching, and we're able to see the driver takes a turn to the left, and we can see the edge of the plow clearing the vehicle with no impact. So as the picture on the right shows, Fred's a pretty happy guy because he has the data to support defending not only the city from a settlement, but the driver from having any concern of being really being in a position to defend the driver from what they would be saying as well. So with that, the next area, and hopefully there's not too many calls like that from that Fred has to field in a day, but the tools are very quick and easy to use to get there with the data. Fred's phone rings. It's a pretty busy day for Fred, and City Council has a Green Fleet initiative. And with this, they're really looking for ways to shift the fleet to electric vehicles as quickly as possible. So this is something that we're speaking with a number of our municipal clients about today. It's a real life scenario where certainly electric vehicles, there's more and more options in the market today, and they really can represent an opportunity for savings and a significant opportunity in reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Now, The challenge, though, is knowing where to deploy them in your fleet to really experience those benefits. And one of the great tools in the Geotab platform is something called the Electric Vehicle Suitability Assessment Tool. And this and other electric vehicle support tools are part of the Geotab platform through Geotab's acquisition of Fleet Karma, an electric vehicle specialized telematics company out of Ontario back in, I think it was 2018. And with this electric vehicle suitability assessment, it is a wizard-based tool where you can really go into your Geotab instance and look at the vehicles. Fred is able to log in, choose the vehicles he wants to assess for electric vehicle suitability, select the electric vehicles that might be suitable replacements for the type and nature of work to be done. And then the system will run an assessment of a recommendation based on range suitability. So we'll look at your trip's histories to assess which vehicles would be range suitable for the electric vehicles you've selected. It will also look at your cost and lifetime cost savings potential based on the use of a traditionally fueled vehicle and electric fueled vehicle. And it's quite an amazing tool in that it will give Fred the ability to make a smart decision as to which vehicles would be suitable replacements for electric vehicles. The worst thing that Fred could do is put an electric vehicle in place where it would not be suitable from a range or cost perspective, because that could really stymie the potential of deploying electric vehicles successfully over the coming years in the fleet. So using this tool, Fred is able to choose the vehicle that's range capable, that will bring the savings, that will be a good fit, and be able to have the data as we see on the screen around the cost savings, the energy savings, and the emission reduction, greenhouse gas emission reduction that can result from this shift to EV. One of the great tools that Fred will also have in his toolkit is the ability, using the Geotab platform, to gather all of that engine data from the EVs and run the reports on fuel usage and electricity usage side by side. And even on the live maps, see the percentage of charge for the vehicles and the status of charge. This is an entirely new area of data collection and thought process is the charging aspects of having electric vehicles. We take for granted you go to a gas station, pumping gas takes a very short period of time. Charging an electric vehicle can take, depending on the type of charger you're using, it can take some time. It can take hours. So this system will give you the data to help manage the charging of the vehicles as well. So Fred is feeling pretty happy about his choice to have Geotab and Northern BI helping him out, because he's been able to get the data to City Council to support this initiative, armed with the tools to know he'll be able to manage that fleet ongoing effectively as well. So Fred is gets that off to City Council, and then he gets another call, and this is a call from one of the supervisors. There's a driver in one of the plow vehicles or the sanitation vehicles with a engine fault light, and this vehicle's mid-route, and the question to Fred as the fleet manager is, should we be getting another vehicle out to continue this route, or can we continue the work here? What should we do about this fault we're seeing? Fred has the tools at his fingertips. One of the nice things about the Geotab application, the system is plugged into the ECM of the vehicles, and with a broad support of OBD2, J1708, J1939, and other engine protocols, the system is really like having your vehicle plugged into a diagnostic tool while they're out doing the work that they need to do for you every day. And so you can log into Geotab, you can see those engine faults. One of the really nice things about the Geotab platform is the Geotab marketplace. and the fact that other complementary service providers are pre-integrating their solutions in the Geotab open ecosystem. And one of those partners is Navistar and their on-command connection application. Navistar is the company that makes international trucks. They have built this application that has the full library of fault codes for heavy-duty vehicles, both international and other makes and models. And what they've done is they've pre-integrated with Geotab such that all the fault codes come from the vehicle straight into Geotab and straight into Navistar, where they get filtered for you. So you can look at them in Geotab, but this adds more intelligence to that data automatically for you. So this Fred is then able to log into this Geotab powered on-command connection portal, able to see the faults across the fleet. There are no stop now faults, 2 service immediately, 2 service soon, 31 with no actions. Fred can navigate directly into that vehicle, can view the fault code and the fault code action plan relative to that vehicle. And it very clearly shows that this vehicle is in that service soon area, where the specific description to the driver is service at the next opportunity, but there's no requirement to take the vehicle off the road. So Fred, the supervisor, the driver are all happy knowing that they're able to continue the work without putting the city and themselves at risk of having a serious issue with that vehicle that could have been avoided. One of the nice things with on-command connection is this often becomes part of the first start of the day for many of our heavy-duty vehicle clients. This does work on all heavy-duty vehicles, unfortunately not for OBD2 light-duty vehicles. But you can also set up an emailed report to get this health view every morning, for example. So Fred's able to be a little proactive as well in avoiding getting that reactive call that there's something happening with the vehicle. So the next area Fred's going to check in is just to make sure that the work against all the routes that are set for the work to be done in this snow event that's been occurring the work is being done. And the way that he can do that, the tools in Geotab are there for route completion reporting as a percentage of the routes and so on. But further, the Geotab this fall imminently is launching this Citizens Insight application. And the Citizens Insight application will present that data not just to Fred and to his colleagues, but set this up in a really easy to set up. This is not a custom project. This is a configurable tool for customers to be able to present the plow locations and the route completion data to the citizens, to their citizens. So with that, it is very configurable. You can delay the period of time that the location information is shared just to ensure safety of your operators. And there's other configurations of the look and feel, layers, things like traffic cams and so on that can be turned on and off with this map. But Fred is able to tap into the same interface that citizens are and keep an eye to see which areas have been serviced, which have been serviced within their time intervals, over-serviced, and so on. So this is a big move for a lot of municipalities to provide this level of transparency to citizens. But we're pretty excited to be able to share this tool to make it easy to set up, to configure, and to allow those time delays and things to ensure that your operators are also safe. You will have control over the data that's shared. The next area that Fred is tackling is to do all the work that needs to be done across all these various services in the municipality. A lot of that is done by municipal employees and vehicles, but it is not all done by municipal employees and vehicles. There are quite a few contractors across Fred's sanitation division and winter operations, let's say. And for all the reasons we spoke about today, having the data for just Fred's city fleet is somewhat limiting. And this is a challenge we hear from many of our municipal clients. We're very excited that Geotab is in the process of launching. We're testing with a few of our clients today, a new feature called Extendable Services. And what Extendable Services will do is allow the data from one Go device, from one GPS tracking device, to go to two databases simultaneously. A primary database, which we would typically recommend would be whomever the contracting entity is. So let's say Fred's contractor, Jill Smith Contracting, has a need for this data themselves. They could subscribe to Geotab, and then they could turn on the extendable service to feed that data to Fred's Geotab database. This, we feel, will add a lot of value for making it easy for Fred to get consolidated data across all the contractors and providing the right data access and control and ownership between contractors and the municipal fleets. So Fred's pretty excited that using extendable services, he can get all of the value that we've spoken about today across these different features driven by the Geotab dataset for his fleet, but also for his contractors. We do see many of our municipal clients like Fred writing requirements like this into the tenders for their contractors to specify that this is one of the requirements of doing the work for them. The next area Fred's going to work on is, there is a continuous improvement department within Fred's municipality, and they're really they've been having meetings around the data strategy at the municipality and looking for ways to consolidate and leverage all the data that the municipality is gathering. What we've spoken about today is quite a large and valuable data set around how the work is being completed. It's valuable relative to the vehicles, but also the operation and how the work is being done. But that's just one data set. This municipalities and non-governmental organizations have numerous data sets, and really combining those data sets can unlock a considerable amount of power to look for correlations between 311 data and GPS data, to look at GIS information in a different way, and to even combine KPIs across, say, your workforce management system and your telematics information. One of the great tools that Fred has started using is part of the Geotab data science tool set. And there's really two I want to speak about that Fred's leveraging. The first is the Geotab data science package. This is a curated Google Cloud platform project that really when turned on with just a monthly subscription that's just per database, you're provided with the last year worth of data imported into this project in Google Cloud platform in this data lake, and all of your data fills in once a day. And one of the nice things with this is it gives the data it puts your data in an area that makes it easy for a data analyst to integrate the data with other applications, or to leverage the data relative to other data sets. Google Cloud Platform is very flexible, very comprehensive big data application that makes it easier to integrate with the combined scorecard with other data sets, or to bring data from other areas like your workforce management systems in combination with the Geotab application. The other thing that Fred's just beginning to leverage is the aggregate data set that Geotab is curating. Geotab has about 2.2 million connected vehicles today, and the terms and conditions, the end user license in Geotab makes it very clear that the data that is gathered from your vehicles is your data. You own it, you can take it with you, you have full control over it. Geotab is also compiling from all of the connected vehicles an aggregate data set that's completely anonymized from each of the customers, but it does provide data that they have made open and accessible to anyone. And this is available for municipal clients and others to leverage. Things like areas of idling across all the vehicles in the data set, cell coverage dark spots, hazardous driving areas, particular metrics around intersections, identification of potholes from G-force data, certain areas where people are searching for parking. These are some of the urban data set. There are further data sets around weather, things like micro barometric pressure, temperature. This is all aggregated from the temperature measures in vehicles that are reported through the ECM. And there's even one for rain, and that's looking at when the wipers are going in vehicles. So that is another data set that is able to be combined in these data lakes or used independently to help provide a greater level of knowledge of how the infrastructure in a city is being used. So Fred's a hero with his continuous improvement team, because he's able to provide not just the data, but the tools through this application and with the help of the Northern BI team. So with that, we're pretty excited that we've been able to help Fred look like a pro. He's leveraging the breadth of the tools that Geotab provides, and this is really just scratching the surface. Our philosophy with this technology, we get really excited about the technology, but really passionate about the application of the technology. Just like any software, Geotab or telematics products can become shelfware if they aren't used. And further, there's a lot of features that we've reviewed today and other that without the help and guidance of a partner like Northern BI, we tend to find clients just are not using. So that's what gets us excited. Everyone on the NBI team each day spends a lot of time proactively with clients to help make sure everyone's aware of the different features they can use, the best practices that other customers are employing, and really make that connection between the needs and the opportunities and the technology. So with that, I'm going to open it up to, or ask my colleague Brian to maybe hit me up with a few questions that have come in. Brian.
Hey, Dwayne, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Excellent. So far the Q&A session is pretty light.
Okay.
We did have one question earlier when you were presenting on the Roscoe solution,
Yes.
and the question came in was how much memory is available for clients for video, for both video and retention. And I did speak briefly in the chat about being able to put 64 or 128 gig memory cards in the Roscoe units, but I thought you might want to talk to the continuous recording and event management. I thought that might be interesting to share.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. And Brian nailed it. There is up to 128 gigabyte cards available there. The way that the Roscoe cameras work they are set and configured typically when the ignition is on the vehicle, that they are recording full time on that SD card. There's also a parking mode that can be configured to keep the camera recording on the SD card post ignition off. but that card will write and then overwrite once that data is full. And how much time that is depends on a few things, how many cameras you have, so on. But 128 gigs at the typical settings is definitely a few weeks worth of data, unless you have a huge number of cameras at the highest quality setting. The way that you get the footage off of the camera is through a modem that's provided with the camera, and the footage can be sent to the cloud inside Geotab through a few methods. One, the cameras are provided with a panic button on the side of the camera, or one that can be installed on the dash, and that is heavily used by a number of our clients to help aid in the change management of implementing cameras and to put a tool in the driver's hands. So if the driver presses the button, there's footage is gathered right at that time and uploaded to the cloud for retention and for viewing inside the Geotab platform. So that's the first way. The second way is all of those rules that you can configure in Geotab, and there's a lot of flexibility around those rules. Any one of them can be set to trigger camera footage going to the cloud. So this could be entering or exiting a zone. This could be a speeding event, an accident event, any trigger that you could configure through a rule could trigger a clip to the cloud. And the third method is through a custom video request. You can select the date, time, vehicle, and hit upload, basically, and it will gather that clip from the vehicle and present it to you in the Geotab interface. So quite a few options in how you can get that footage into the cloud.
Thanks, Dwayne. Another question came in relating to collision data.
Yes.
And the question reads, can you obtain the truck ECM data such as last stop and hard braking records?
Yeah, great question. So from a collision data perspective, there's some data sets that Geotab is going to be providing always. And the Go device has an accelerometer on board that is gathering acceleration metrics in multiple axes. It's going to be getting the speed of the vehicle through the GPS coordinates. And this is one of the areas Geotab really shines, is having a broad support for engine data. Now, the amount of data that engines are providing is increasing and ever changing. So if available by the vehicle, Geotab is typically gathering measures of, say, anti-rollover data or ECM data, the RPMs, gear position of the vehicle, any other last stop harsh brake records that may come from onboard sensors from the vehicle. If available through the ECM, Geotab is in most cases supporting those. When we get into those really detailed engine measures, because there are so many makes and models of vehicles, just have to be transparent. There's no guarantee across all vehicles you'll get all of that data. It does depend upon the vehicle. But that is an area from a collision reconstruction perspective. We continually get kudos from our clients and relative to how much data can be provided. One of the things that important to note with the Geotab data set, and this is from the data it's gathering from its sensors and through the engine, it is using something called curve-based logic. Most GPS technology in the market chooses to get a ping, say, every minute, for example, or every 30 seconds. Geotab is using a really proprietary algorithm on board. It's patented technology on board the device, where it's sampling all this data set second by second and choosing the high and low points. So when an incident occurs, the feedback we get from our clients and their accident investigators and so on is they get really high resolution data when an incident occurs that helps them defend themselves or recreate what happened in those instances. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. So currently there aren't any other questions. If you do have a question, there is a Q&A a button at the bottom of the Zoom screen, as well as the chat. So if there are any other questions, feel free to throw something in. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap a couple of minutes early, which Dwayne and I always like to give people a few minutes back in their day. And I guess maybe Dwayne, I will ask one quick question, just I know something we often hear from customers about the variety of spreaders that are supported by the Geotab platform that you mentioned on one of the earlier slides.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. The Geotab support through what is a new harness. It's the IOX Works. And it's really the interpretation box for spreaders to connect to the Geotab system to normalize the data. There is a very broad range. We support everything from Dickie John, Force America, Cirrus, Rexroth, Epoch. Really, I would encourage, if there are specific questions from anyone around support, we'd love to help you out with assessing what's possible. And if you have any questions around particular spreaders, we can confirm it for you whether they're supported. Geotab is really seen as a leader in this area. They're building a standard for the spreader data that they're actually seeing a number of the manufacturers adopt, which it seems there's a bit of an area, an opening of opportunity there where a standard is welcomed by some of these manufacturers.
Awesome, thanks, Dwayne. No other questions have come in at this time, Dwayne, so I think we can probably let folks go, unless there's anything else you want to add before we close up.
Nope, just in closing, I would like to thank everyone for spending the time today. When I told my son this morning I was going to be doing this, he said, "Geez, Dad, you love it. You love talking." And he was right. I enjoyed myself. I hope you did as well. We'd certainly love to help you if you have any questions that you didn't ask today, or if there's any opportunity, whether you're with the municipality or some of these features and capabilities could be applicable to a broader customer base than just municipalities as well. Please reach out to myself or Alf Bragg, our sales manager, whose contact details are on the screen. Thank you very much for spending the time with us today, and have be safe. Have a great day.